The market of Zorath Prime was alive with strange colors and louder voices. Creatures from many worlds shouted and bargained. Lights flickered above the stalls. Smoke and dust moved in the air. The smell of metal and burnt oil made the place heavy. This was not a market of food or cloth. It was a market of flesh. The auction stage stood in the center, tall and glowing with blue light. Cages were lined behind it. Inside the cages were beings with broken eyes, slaves from different planets, some strong, some weak, some already half dead. Buyers walked in circles, their voices filled with greed. The auctioneer was a tall alien with 4 eyes and a mouthful of sharp teeth. His voice was like iron scraping stone. Step forward, the next lot is here," he shouted. From one of the cages, a small figure was pushed onto the stage. It was a girl, thin, her skin pale like silver dust, her eyes large and dark. She wore chains that looked heavier than her body. The crowd of aliens laughed. "She is nothing," one alien hissed, his long tongue flicking. "She is weak," another said. "No power, no use, not even good for labor," another voice mocked. The girl stood silent. She did not cry, she did not beg, but her shoulders shook like cold wind was inside her bones. She lowered her eyes. She knew she was not wanted. She had been told this many times. She had no family, no name worth remembering, only chains. The auctioneer tried to raise his voice louder. "A rare piece from a lost world, perhaps useful for someone who wants a servant. Who will start the bid?" Silence answered him. The crowd of buyers moved back, not forward. No one wanted her, not even for 1 credit. The auctioneer's face grew angry, his sharp teeth grinding. "1 credit," he shouted. "Just 1 credit. Take her, take this useless thing, anyone?" Still silence, the crowd laughed. One alien spat. On the ground. "Not worth the spit," he growled. The girl closed her eyes. In her heart she felt the same words repeating. Not worth, nothing. She wished the floor would open and swallow her. Then, from the back of the crowd, a voice spoke. It was calm but clear. "I will take her." The crowd turned. Whispers spread. A human was standing there, his coat dark, his face hidden under the hood. He looked like a wanderer, a stranger in a place where humans were rare. His eyes were sharp and full of something the others could not understand. The auctioneer blinked his 4 eyes, surprised, then he grinned with his teeth. "A human buyer, excellent, very well. The girl is yours. 1 credit, sold." The crowd laughed louder. They shouted at the human. "Fool, you bought trash. Why waste money on nothing? She will break in a day." The human did not answer them. He walked slowly to the stage, his steps heavy but sure. He gave the coin, and the chains of the girl were placed in his hand. The girl looked at him with wide dark eyes, confused. She had never seen a human before. She did not understand why he wanted her. He leaned closer, his voice low so only she could hear. "Do not fear, little one. You are not worthless." Her heart jumped. The words struck deep. No one had ever said them before. She wanted to believe, but she was too broken, too tired. The human placed a cloak over her shoulders, covering the chains. He guided her off the stage. The crowd kept laughing, pointing, shaking their heads. But he ignored them. They walked through the dirty streets of the market, neon lights glowing, shadows following. She stayed close to him, still afraid, still lost, her steps small and weak, but something strange was moving inside her chest, a small spark. The spark was not hope, not yet, but it was something close, a question. Why? The market behind them grew lee. Outer as new slaves were sold, but for her, time felt slower. The words of the human repeated in her head, not worthless. At the edge of the market, the human stopped and looked at the stars above. Then he whispered again, "They do not see what I see." The girl looked at him, her lips parted, but no words came. She wanted to ask what he meant, but her voice was locked inside. The human smiled faintly under his hood, his eyes looking far away. "They think you are nothing," he said, "but they are wrong, very wrong." The night of Zorath Prime was filled with dust and neon, but in that moment, for the first time in her life, the alien girl felt something new. She felt that maybe, just maybe, her story was only beginning. And somewhere, unseen, in the darkness above, other eyes were watching. The streets of Zorath Prime stretched endless, full of shadows and neon fire. The human walked with steady steps. The alien girl followed close, the chains still heavy on her wrists, but covered now under the cloak he had given. She looked around with fear. Every alien face seemed cruel. Every whisper seemed to laugh at her. She wanted to ask him why he bought her when no one else wanted her. But her lips did not move. She had learned long ago that silence was safer than questions. The human stopped at a narrow passage between 2 broken towers. He turned to her, his face still hidden under the hood, his voice low. "What is your name?" She blinked, her eyes wide. No one had ever asked her that with kindness. Her voice came out weak, almost a whisper. "I have no name." The human nodded slowly as if he expected that answer. "Then we will find one," he said, "but not now, not here." He led her into the shadowed passage, away from the crowd, away from the laughing voices. The air grew colder, quieter, only the hum of broken lights above. The girl kept staring at him, her heart heavy with confusion. Finally she spoke again, her words trembling. "Why did you buy me? I am nothing." The human stoned. Peed walking, he turned his head. His eyes caught hers, sharp and burning with something she could not explain. "Nothing," he said, his voice firm. "They see nothing, but I see everything." She frowned, not understanding. "What do you see?" He stepped closer, his hand touched the cloak on her shoulder gently. Not like a master, not like an owner, but like someone who wanted to protect. "I see a light hidden inside you," he said. "I see a storm waiting to wake." Her chest tightened, the words struck like fire. She shook her head quickly. "No, I am weak. I have no strength." He leaned down, his face half seen under the hood, his eyes glowing in the neon shade. "Do you think weakness hides in those who survive chains?" He asked. "No, little one. Survival is its own strength." The girl lowered her eyes, her breath shaking. She did not know what to believe. No one had ever spoken like this. They reached a small abandoned shelter at the edge of the city, walls broken, roof cracked, but inside there was a fire burning low. The human had made this place his camp. Old weapons and tools lay scattered. A small ship was hidden under torn cloth at the back. He guided her to sit near the fire. He broke a piece of dry bread and gave it to her. She hesitated, then took it, her hands trembling. She had not eaten real food in days. As she ate in silence, he watched her carefully, then finally spoke again. "I once met your kind," he said softly. "A long time ago, before your world was destroyed." Her eyes shot up, fear and wonder mixing. "My world?" she whispered. "You know of it?" He nodded, his eyes distant, remembering. "Yes, I was a soldier then. I fought in battles where stars burned. I saw your people, not many, but enough to know they were different. They carried a power unlike any other race, a power feared by many." The girl shook her head, confused. "But I have no power." The human leaned closer, his voice steady. "Not yet." Her heart raced. She wanted to deny it, but deep inside she remembered strange dreams, times when her skin glowed faintly in the dark, moments when lights flickered around her without reason. She thought they were only illusions, signs of madness, but now his words made them feel real. She whispered, "Why me?" He looked at her with calm eyes. "Because you are the last." The words hit like thunder. She froze, the bread falling from her hand, her chest heavy. "The last?" she repeated. "Yes," he said, his voice heavy with truth. "The others are gone, wiped out, hunted, forgotten. But you survived, hidden, broken. Yes, but alive. That means something." Tears formed in her dark eyes. She shook her head. "But I am useless. I cannot fight. I cannot even speak without fear." The human placed a hand over hers, his touch warm, steady. "You do not need to fight yet," he said. "You only need to live and to learn. Your time will come." The fire cracked. The night outside roared with alien engines, but inside that broken shelter, silence wrapped around them, a silence heavy with mystery. The girl stared at the flames, her mind a storm of fear and questions. She did not understand him, she did not understand herself, but something inside her stirred, like a locked door trembling against its chains. The human finally leaned back, his eyes watching the shadows, his hand resting on a strange weapon at his side, his voice low. "Others will come for you when they discover what you are. They will want to use you, to break you, to own you. But I will not let that happen." Her chest filled with both fear and warmth, she whispered, "Why do you care?" For the first time, he pulled back his hood, his face scarred, his eyes tired but burning with iron fire. "Because once," he said, "someone saved me when I was nothing, and now it is my turn." The girl stared at him, her lips parted. Her heart racing, and in that moment she felt the spark again, stronger now, not hope, not yet, but the beginning of belief. Above the cracked roof, the stars burned, silent watchers of secrets too old and too dangerous. And in the dark corners of Zorath Prime, whispers already moved, whispers of a human and a strange girl, whispers that would soon become a storm. The shelter was quiet, the fire almost gone. The alien girl sat close to it, her knees pulled to her chest, her eyes wide and restless. She could not sleep. The words of the human kept circling inside her head. "You are not worthless. You are the last. You carry a hidden light." She wanted to believe, but the chains of her past were too heavy. Every memory told her she was weak, nothing, less than nothing. But still, a strange feeling moved in her chest, like something alive was waiting. The human sat near the wall, his weapon resting beside him, his eyes half closed. But she knew he was not sleeping. He was listening to every sound outside, ready if danger came. After a long silence, the girl spoke softly. "What if you are wrong? What if there is no power in me?" The human opened his eyes, sharp and calm. "Then I wasted one coin," he said with a small smile. "But I do not think I am wrong." She lowered her head, her fingers touching the cloak he gave her. It was rough, old, but warmer than chains, warmer than anything she had known. That night, when she finally closed her eyes, she dreamed. She dreamed of a burning sky, stars breaking apart, voices screaming, her own hands glowing with strange fire. She woke with a cry, sweat covering her face. The fire in the shelter was gone, only darkness remained. The human looked at her, his voice steady. "You saw it, didn't you?" She froze, breathing fast. "Saw what?" "The light," he said. "The fire inside you." Her lips trembled. She wanted to deny it, but her hands still felt warm, as if the dream had left fire in her skin. The next day, he led her outside, away from the market, away from eyes, into the ruins beyond the city, towers broken like old bones, metal scattered, the sky above gray with smoke. "Here," he said, "is where you will learn." She shook her head, fear rising. "Learn what?" "To control what is already yours." She stepped back, shaking. "No, I cannot. I am weak. I am nothing." The human's voice turned firm. "You are not nothing. You survived, and survival itself is proof." He gave her a small stone, dark and heavy. "Hold it. Close your eyes. Feel your breath." Her hands shook as she held the stone, her eyes closing, silence stretched. She felt nothing, only cold. But then, deep in her chest, something stirred, like a whisper, a spark. Her fingers warmed, the stone grew lighter. She gasped, her eyes opening. The stone was glowing faintly, a thin light running through the cracks. She dropped it in fear. The stone hit the ground and cracked open, smoke rising. Her chest heaved, her eyes wide. What was that? The human's gaze was calm, but she saw pride in his eyes. "That," he said, "is the beginning." She shook her head, stepping back. No, it is dangerous. I will hurt someone." He stepped closer, his voice steady. "Yes, it is dangerous. Power is always dangerous, but without control, it is worse." Tears burned in her eyes, her voice broke. "I do not want to be a monster." He knelt down, his hand gentle on her shoulder. "Monsters are made by choice, not by power. You will choose who you are." His words sank deep, her breath slowed, but still, fear stayed inside her. For days he taught her, small things, holding a stone, moving light through her fingers, feeling energy in the air. At first, she failed. The stone stayed cold, her hands numb. But then, little by little, sparks came. Flickers of light danced, small but real. Each time it happened, she fought. Felt her heart race. Both fear and wonder mixed. The human's voice always calm, guiding, never shouting, never cruel. Different from all others she had known. One night, as they trained under the broken towers, a shadow moved in the distance. The human noticed, his hand on his weapon. "Stay behind me," he whispered. But it was too late. A group of alien hunters stepped out, their armor glowing, their eyes hungry. "There she is," one hissed. "The human fool found something. The girl has power." Her heart froze, her hands shaking. She wanted to run, but her legs would not move. The human stood tall, his weapon drawn, but there were too many. The hunters laughed, circling them. "We will take her. Her blood will be worth gold. Step aside, human." The human's eyes narrowed, his voice hard. "Over my dead body." The hunters raised their weapons. The girl screamed, her fear exploding, her chest burned, her hands burst with light, bright and wild. The ground shook. The hunters stumbled back in shock. Bolts of energy shot from her fingers, striking the ruins, fire and smoke rising. Her voice cried out in terror, not knowing how to stop. The human rushed to her side, his hand gripping her arm, his voice sharp. "Breathe, control it, do not let fear rule you." Her breath broke, her tears fell, but she listened. She pulled the light back, the fire dimmed, the ground quieted. The hunters stared, fear now in their eyes. One of them hissed, "She is real, she is one of them." They turned and ran into the shadows, their courage gone. The girl fell to her knees, trembling, her eyes wide with horror. "I hurt them, I destroyed." The human knelt beside her, his voice steady but firm. "No, you saved us. And this is only the beginning, but now they know, and they will come." Her chest shook, her breath heavy. She looked at him, her voice broken. "What am I?" He looked at her. "Ah." His eyes like steel. "You are the last of your kind, and the galaxy will not forget you." And above, unseen, a signal was sent through the stars, carrying the news, carrying her name, though she had none yet, carrying her danger, carrying her destiny. The ruins no longer felt safe. After the hunters saw her power, the whispers spread fast. Zorath Prime was a world of shadows, and shadows carried news quicker than light. The human knew they could not stay. He packed his weapons, tightened the cloak around her shoulders, and led her back into the endless streets. The neon signs flickered above. Broken towers leaned like dying giants, the air heavy with smoke. The girl followed close, her heart still heavy from the fire that had burst from her hands. She whispered in fear, "They will come for me." The human's voice was calm but sharp. "Yes, and that is why we must keep moving." They walked through alleys filled with broken machines and strange creatures hiding in the dark, eyes glowing, whispers following. The city seemed alive, watching them, waiting. As night fell, the streets grew louder. Gangs of aliens roamed, hunters in armor marched. The market buzzed with rumors. "A girl of light," they said. "A human who hides her." The girl pulled the cloak tighter, her steps quick, her eyes filled with fear. She had been a slave for so long, but now freedom felt more dangerous than chains. Suddenly, a sharp sound cut through the night, a whistle. The human's eyes narrowed. "They found us," he said. From the shadows, hunters appeared more than before, their weapons glowing, their voices cruel. "Give her to us, human, and you may live." The human stood tall, his hand on his weapon, his voice firm. "You will not touch her." The girl shook, fear crushing her chest. Her hands burned with light she could not control. She whispered, "I will hurt you if it happens again." The human looked at her, his eyes steady. "Then you will hurt them. Not me, but listen to me. You must learn to hold the fire, not let it hold you." The hunters moved closer, their boots echoing. The alley closed like a cage. Escape seemed impossible. The human pulled her hand. They ran, their feet hitting broken stone. The hunters shouted, chasing, weapons firing, sparks exploded on the walls. The city turned into a maze, twisting paths, sharp corners, tall broken bridges. The girl's breath heavy, her chain still dragging under the cloak, slowing her. "Faster," the human urged, his grip firm, his steps strong. But the hunters were trained, their shadows never far, their voices filled with hunger. "You cannot run, she is ours." The girl stumbled, falling to her knees. The human pulled her up quickly, his voice hard. "Do not stop, not now." Her eyes filled with tears, her body weak, but inside something stronger stirred. The fire she feared, it wanted to break free. They turned into an abandoned factory, the walls black with rust, machines broken, wires hanging like dead vines. The human pushed her into the shadows. "Stay low, stay quiet." He lifted his weapon, firing at the hunters. The sound thundered, sparks flew, the hunters roared back. The fight filled the factory with smoke and light. The girl crouched, covering her ears, her chest burning, her fear growing. She saw the human fight, fast and strong, but there were too many. He was struck, blood on his arm, his steps slowing. Her heart broke. She screamed, "Stop!" The hunters turned to her, their eyes wide with greed. "Yes, show us the fire, girl." Her hands shook. The fire burst out, wild and uncontrolled. The walls cracked, machines shattered. The hunters stumbled, some thrown back by the force, the air filled with burning light. The human rushed to her, grabbing her arms, his voice cutting through the chaos. "Breathe, listen, do not let fear guide you. Feel it, control it." Her tears fell, her breath broken, but she tried. She focused on his voice. The fire slowed, the light dimmed, but not gone. It stayed inside her hands, alive, waiting. The hunters regrouped, anger in their voices. "She must be taken. She is too powerful." The human fired again, covering their escape. He pulled her through another passage, their steps heavy, their lungs burning. They ran until the city lights faded, until the shouts grew distant, until only silence and dust surrounded them. The girl fell against a wall, her chest heaving, her face pale. "I cannot do this. I will destroy everything." The human knelt before her, his hand steady on her shoulder, his eyes sharp and kind. "You can, but it will take time. Power is not the enemy. Fear is." She closed her eyes, her breath calming, his words wrapping around her like a shield. She wanted to believe. She needed to believe. Above them, the night sky stretched wide, stars burning, carrying secrets, carrying warnings. Somewhere far away, whispers reached powerful ears. In a fortress of black stone on another world, a warlord stood tall, his armor glowing red, his eyes cold. He listened to the message. The last of her kind has been found. She is alive, and with a human. The warlord's mouth curled into a cruel smile. Then the hunt begins, he said. Back in the ruins, the girl felt a shiver in her bones. She did not know why, but she sensed something greater was coming. Something far more dangerous than hunters in the dark streets, and the human, watching the stars, knew it too. The ruins were silent after the chase. The girl sat on a broken stone, her chest still heavy, her hands trembling from the light that had burst out of her. The human worked quietly, wrapping his wounded arm with cloth, his face calm, though blood darkened his sleeve. She looked at him, her voice low and shaken. Why do they want me? Why do they hunt me? I do not understand. The human tightened the cloth, his eyes steady as he met hers. Because of what you are. Her breath caught, her heart raced. I told you, I am nothing. He shook his head, his voice firm. No, you are not nothing. You are the last of your kind, and your kind was never weak. She frowned, confusion deep. My kind? You keep saying this, but I do not know who I am. I do not even know my name. The human leaned back, his eyes watching the fire he had lit between them, his voice heavy with memory. Long ago, before this world became a pit of chains, I was a soldier. I fought in wars across the stars. I saw many races, but one stood apart, your people, the Lumerians. The girl's eyes widened. The name felt strange and heavy, like an echo of something deep inside her. Lumerians? She whispered. Yes, he said, his tone soft but strong. A race of light, not just light of flesh, but light of spirit. Your people carried power that could heal, create, or destroy. Their touch could bend energy itself. Some feared them, some worshipped them, but all knew their strength. Her hands shook. She pulled the cloak tighter around herself. But if they were so strong, where are they now? The human's face darkened, his eyes shadowed with pain. They were hunted, their worlds burned. Enemies feared what they could become, so they destroyed them, one by one, until nothing was left, or so it was believed. The girl's breath broke, her heart heavy. So I am. She could not finish the words. The last, he said, his voice steady. You are proof that they did not vanish completely, and that is why the hunters chase you. That is why the warlords whisper your name, even if you do not yet know it yourself. They want your power. They want to control it, to use you as a weapon. Tears filled her eyes. She shook her head. But I cannot, Khan. Troll it, I nearly destroyed everything. I will only bring death. The human leaned closer, his scarred face calm, his voice sharp with truth. That is why they call it destiny, not because it is easy, but because it is heavy. You must learn, and you will. I will teach you. I will stand with you until you can stand alone. She turned her eyes away, staring into the fire, her tears falling silently. She wanted to believe him, but fear wrapped around her like chains. Her voice broke. Why? Why help me? You could leave me, and no one would laugh at you again. The human's eyes softened, his hand resting on his chest as if touching an old wound. Because once, someone saved me when I was nothing, and they told me that humans carry a gift no one else does. Belief. We believe when others give up. We fight when others fall. And now, I choose to believe in you. The girl's chest ached, her eyes lifted to him, the firelight shining in her tears. No one had ever believed in her. No one had ever seen more than chains, she whispered. But what if I fail? His answer was quick, steady, unshaken. Then you rise again. That is what makes you more than what they say you are. The night stretched long, the fire burning low. She sat in silence, her mind filled with images she did not understand. Flashes of light, voices of people she never met. Her heart pulled between fear and hope. Far above, the stars burned, carrying secrets. And far away, in a fortress of black stone, the warlord listened to the whispers, his soldiers kneeling before him. The girl has been seen with the human, she carries the light. The warlord's voice was deep and cruel. Good, then we will take her. Her power will be mine. Prepare the fleets. Back in the ruins, the human watched the girl as she drifted into restless sleep. Her face soft but troubled, he whispered to himself, she does not yet know what she is, but the galaxy will, and soon. The girl dreamed again. This time not of fire and fear, but of a world of light, towers shining, skies pure, voices singing. She saw figures who looked like her, smiling, reaching out their hands, then flames consumed them. Screams filled the air, and she woke with a cry. The human was there, his hand steady on her shoulder. "Dreams are memories," he said softly. "Your blood remembers what your mind has forgotten." She trembled, her heart racing. "Then my blood carries death." He shook his head firmly. "No, your blood carries choice. You are not doomed to be what they fear. You can be more." She stared at him, her breath shaky, and for the first time a spark of belief flickered, small but real. But in the shadows of Zorath Prime, other eyes were watching, hunters waiting, spies whispering. The storm was gathering, and soon the truth of her blood would not just be known by her, but by all the galaxy. The days after the truth were heavy. The girl carried the weight of her blood like a chain, her mind filled with dreams of light and fire, of voices calling her by a name she did not know. The human trained her when they could, guiding her to breathe, to hold the spark, to shape it. But fear still lived in her heart. One night, as the ruins lay silent, the human spoke softly by the fire. "We cannot hide forever. They will come, stronger, faster, and when they do, you must be ready." The girl lowered her head, her voice shaking. "I will only fail. I will only break." He placed his scarred hand on her shoulder, firm, steady. "Then you will rise, even broken. That is what it means to fight." But far away, in the fortress of Blackstone, the warlord moved his hand across a star map, his eyes burning with hunger. "Bring me the girl," he ordered. "Alive, her power must be mine." His fleet scattered like shadows across the galaxy, and on Zorath Prime, the hunters gathered in silence. The night they came was quiet at first, the wind moving through broken towers. The girl sat by the fire, her eyes heavy. The human was sharpening his blade when suddenly the ground shook. Engines roared above, black ships cutting through the smoke-filled sky, their lights sharp like knives. The girl froze, her chest tight. "They found us," she whispered. The human's eyes narrowed, his weapon already in hand. "Stay behind me," he said. The ships landed, metal doors slamming open, soldiers poured out, tall, armored, faces hidden behind masks, their weapons glowing red. They moved like shadows, surrounding the ruins in silence. The human fired first, his shots cutting the dark. The girl covered her ears, fear clawing at her. But more soldiers came, endless, the sound of metal boots shaking the ground. The human shouted, "Run!" She hesitated, but his voice was steel. "Run!" She turned, her feet carrying her through the ruins, her breath broken, her chains dragging, her cloak flying behind her. But no matter how fast she moved, the shadows followed. From the smoke, one of the warlord's captains appeared, taller than the rest, his armor black as night, his voice cruel. "Little light, stop running, you belong to us." Her heart pounded, her hands shook with fire she could not control. She screamed, the spark bursting, walls cracking. The captain only laughed, blocking the light with his shield. So weak, so untrained, yet so valuable. Before she could run again, soldiers struck from behind, chains of burning metal wrapped around her wrists. She cried out. The fire inside her dimmed. Her knees hit the ground. The human fought his way through, his blade cutting, his weapon firing, his breath heavy, blood on his face. He saw her fall and roared, charging forward, but the soldiers swarmed him, striking, beating, holding him down. The girl's eyes filled with tears. "No, leave him," she screamed. The captain stepped closer, his mask reflecting the firelight. "Do not fear, little one. He will live. For now, the warlord wants only you." She struggled. A chains burning into her skin, the spark inside her crying to be free, but the metal was strong, forged to hold her kind. She could not break it. The human shouted, his voice broken but fierce. "Do not give up. Do not believe them. You are more than their chains." The soldier struck him again, silencing him, his body falling heavy. The girl cried out, her tears falling like rain. They dragged her toward the ship, her feet scraping stone, her heart breaking. She looked back one last time, the human's body lying still in the dirt. Her voice cracked. "Why me?" The captain's cruel voice answered, "Because you are the last, and the last always belongs to the strongest." The ship's doors closed with a slam, the engines roared, and the city below faded. The girl sat chained in the dark hold, her breath shallow, her eyes empty. She whispered the words he had told her, trying to hold them. "Not worthless, not worthless." But the shadows pressed heavy, and for the first time since she met the human, she felt truly alone, far above the ruined world, in the black fortress of the warlord. The throne room glowed with firelight. The warlord stood tall, his armor bright with blood-red markings, his eyes cold as stone. He looked at the message from his captain. "The girl is captured." A cruel smile spread across his face. "At last, the power of the Lumerians will be mine." Back on the ground, under the broken stars, the human lay still, his breath faint but alive, his hand curled in the dirt, his eyes opening slowly, weak but burning with fire. He whispered through broken lips, "Hold on, little one. I will find you." And in the warlord's ship, the girl closed her eyes, her tears falling, but deep inside, under the fear, under the chains, the spark still burned, small but alive, waiting. The fortress of the warlord stood like a mountain of black iron, its towers sharp against the red sky. Fire burned in its walls, and shadows of soldiers filled the halls. Inside the deepest chamber, the alien girl sat chained, her hands bound by glowing cuffs that dimmed her power, her head bowed, her spirit heavy. She remembered the human's words. "You are not worthless, you are more than their chains," she whispered them again and again, like a fragile shield against the fear inside her. The warlord entered, tall and cruel, his armor shining with red light, his eyes cold and hungry. He looked at her like she was not a child but a weapon. "So," he said with a voice like thunder, "the last of the Lumerians, weak and trembling, yet inside you is a fire that will make me ruler of all worlds." She looked up at him, her eyes filled with fear but also a spark. "You will never own me," she said, her voice shaking but real. The warlord laughed, the sound cruel. "You think you have a choice? Power has no choice. It bends to the strongest hand, and I am the strongest." He raised his hand, the cuffs burned, pain cut through her. She cried out, the spark inside her twisting. He tried to draw it out, to bend it to his will. Far away, across the wastelands of Zorath Prime, the human rose again, his body broken but alive. He followed the trail of fire in the sky, his steps heavy, his wounds deep, but his eyes unshaken. He whispered to himself, "I will find you." He stole into the fortress through shadowed tunnels, fighting through guards, his blade cutting, his weapon firing, his breath burning in his chest. Each step was pain, but he did not stop. He could not stop. Inside the chamber, the girl felt the chains burn deeper, her strength fading. The warlord's voice filled the air. "Give in, little light. Give me what is mine." Her tears fell. She thought of running, of Heidi, Nang, but then she remembered the human's eyes, the way he stood against armies, the way he believed in her when no one else did, and something inside her shifted. The door burst open, the human stumbled in, blood on his face, fire in his eyes, his voice strong despite his weakness. "She is not yours." The warlord turned, surprised but amused. "The human lives, how interesting. Do you think you can stop me? You are broken, nothing." The human raised his weapon, his voice steady. "Maybe, but I am human, and humans do not break as easily as you think." The warlord roared, his soldiers rushed, the human fought with everything left, his blade flashing, his steps unsteady, but his spirit iron. He fell, rose, fought again. The girl watched with wide eyes, her heart breaking. She screamed, "Stop! You will die!" The human shouted back, "Then I die, but you must live, you must rise." Her chains burned, the cuffs glowed, the warlord laughed. "See, little one, he dies for nothing." But the girl felt something shift. The spark inside her no longer wild, no longer chained. She focused, her breath steady. She whispered, "Not nothing." The cuffs cracked, light poured from her hands, bright and fierce. The chains shattered, the chamber filled with fire and brilliance. The warlord stumbled back, his eyes wide with shock. The girl rose, her body glowing with light, her voice stronger than ever. "I am not yours, I am not worthless, I am Lumerian." The warlord roared, raising his weapon, dark energy burning. He struck, but her light met his shadow. The walls shook, the ground cracked. Their power clashed like thunder. The human fell to one knee, his eyes wide, watching her stand, her light filling the chamber, stronger than fear, stronger than chains. The warlord tried to crush her, but she did not fight alone. The human's voice echoed through her. "You are more than fear. You are more than chains," she believed, and belief gave her strength. Her light exploded, bright as a sun. The warlord screamed, his armor breaking, his shadow burned away until nothing remained but ash. Silence fell, the chamber cracked and broken. The girl stood glowing, her breath heavy, her eyes filled with tears. The human crawled closer, his voice weak but proud. "You did it." She knelt beside him, her hands glowing gently. She placed them on his wounds. The light healed, soft and warm. His breath grew steady, his pain eased. He looked at her, his scarred face soft with a rare smile. "I told you, you were not worthless." She smiled through tears, her voice strong. "And I told you, you were not broken." Outside, the fortress shook. Soldiers fled. The word spread like fire. The last of the Lumerians had risen, not as a weapon, not as a slave, but as a guardian. The girl stood at the gates, the human at her side, the galaxy stretching before them, filled with danger, filled with war, but also filled with hope. She whispered to the stars, "This is only the beginning." And the stars seemed to whisper back, carrying her name into the endless dark.